Believe it or not, but Stan Lee has made cameos in plenty of other television shows and films outside of Marvel properties and adaptations. Considering he's a pop culture icon, that shouldn't be too surprising. Lee was in high demand, especially towards the later decades of his life. So today we're taking a look at some of his most notable appearances with our list of the top 10 Stan Lee cameos in non-Marvel movies, and some of these are quite unexpected too. Let's jump in. And at number 10, MALLRATS. MALLRATS is one of Lee's most well-known non-Marvel appearances, a film by Kevin Smith from 1995. A cult classic, the film initially didn't do well at the box office, but has gone down in history as one of Smith's greatest, despite its now uncomfortable rape jokes. Lee plays a full-blown role in the film, as himself of course, and has stated that the film was his favorite cameo to date. So what does he do in the movie? Well, Lee gives the character Brody some much-needed advice on romance.
You know, it reminds me of an issue of Spider-Man I did, when Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy went lingerie shopping.
Oh, that's Stan. And at number 9, Big Bang Theory. Personally, I hate The Big Bang Theory. Why? Well, because the majority of the show's comedy doesn't come from making smart jokes about the nerdy pop culture content its characters are fanboys of. Rather, it makes being a fanboy and a nerd the joke, which feels like an easier way to get cheap laughs and actually make fun of the culture. Regardless of what myself and many other people feel, the show managed to do one thing right and get Stan Lee to stop by its studios to make a pretty good cameo. In an episode called The Excelsior Acquisition, Stan Lee plays himself, visiting the gang's local comic book shop. Sheldon isn't able to make the event, so Penny brings him to Stan Lee's house. Creepy. And he shows up at the door wearing a Fantastic Four robe and proceeds to fling a whole lot of sarcasm at the duo.
Yeah.
Are you Stan Lee?
Oh, damn.
And at number 8, Pizza Man.
Hang in there. The future is fantastic.
Back in the early 2000s, there was a dark period of contemporary cinema in which producers put Frankie Muniz, aka Malcolm in the Middle, in a lot of shitty movies. One of those shitty movies was none other than Pizza Man, a film that actually came out in 2011. What the f***? It's in which Muniz plays a dude named Matt Burns, a pizza delivery boy who wakes up with superhuman strength after consuming a genetically altered tomato. Yep, this was a real movie. Although considering how cringe it was, you probably don't remember it, let alone know any of the other actors who starred in it minus Muniz and 2 very special comic book legend cameos, who also made it onto the movie's main poster in his sad attempt to sell tickets. We're talking about none other than Stan Lee and Adam West, who played Batman in the campy 60s television series and film. Anyway, Stan's on the poster and that's kinda funny. Moving on. And at number 7, a much better superhero film, Kick-Ass. Compared to the likes of other live-action films and shows on this list that play with the superhero genre, Kick-Ass is an actual comic adaptation, a more realistic and gritty story about a high school student and a comic book fan who decides to become a superhero. Now, in case you've forgotten how great this 2010 hit was, it also starred Nicolas Cage and a very young Chloe Grace Moretz, who went around murdering bad guys and cussing, to the point where the film actually spawned some criticism from overly concerned parents. Anywho, Stan Lee makes a cameo in the movie as a man watching the news, a brief but wonderful Easter egg. Now, in real life, when Stan couldn't make the film's premiere due to a prior commitment in Vegas, he tweeted out, "I'm surprised they didn't change the premiere for me," as a joke. Oh Stan, how we miss your sense of humor. And at number 6, Teen Titans Go to the Movies. While Stan definitely did have his differences over the years with DC Comics, and quite a few qualms with certain copyright issues, Power Girl, that didn't stop the Marvel powerhouse from appearing in DC properties out of good fun. We're talking specifically the recent Teen Titans Go to the Movies animated feature film. The film, which slaps on layers and layers of meta dialogue and moments at times, finds the teenage heroes at a movie studio lot, with Stan Lee in the background sweeping, looking directly at the camera. Later, he jumps onto the cart the Titans are driving, with the Titans shouting out his name. Lee responds in a very cheeky and meta way himself.
Stan Lee?
I'm back. I don't care if it's a DC movie. I love cameos.
It's one of the last Lee cameos that we'll ever see, so it's kinda nice to see him have a fun go at his lifelong competitors in a friendly way. And at number 5, Heroes. Heroes was quite revolutionary at the time that it came out. It was a story making use of the superhero genre that subverted the films and series that we had previously seen about caped heroes and honorable vigilantes, for the most part. Set into the real world, the 2006 show followed the lives of ordinary people who discovered they had superhuman abilities, and how they all worked together to prevent a catastrophic future from occurring. While it followed the form of American comic books to an extent, it was quite different than your typical comic adaptation. So of course, based on the subject matter of the show, it was no surprise when Stan Lee made a nice little cameo, driving a truck in a scene with the ever so endearing Hiro Nakamura.
Hey, young fella. All by yourself?
And at number 4, Muppet Babies. Muppet Babies is perhaps one of the more odd additions to this list, but considering Lee appears in an episode called Comic Capers, it Kinda makes sense. In the episode, the Muppet Babies decide to make their own comic book with a bunch of different parody segments inspired by the likes of Dick Tracy, Peanuts, and of course, Spider-Man, and many more. After the Spidey segment is up, Lee appears in real life, telling the Muppet Babies, "Don't you know there's only one Spider-Man?" To which he's then hit in the face with a bunch of spiderwebs from an off-screen web shooter. And at number 3, Robot Chicken. Stan Lee had a great sense of humor, and nothing better depicts that than his sometimes absurd and wonky cameos for adult animated comedy series Robot Chicken, which he appeared on 3 separate occasions. The first appearance was in 2007 in the episode Tapping a Hero.
Okay, show's over. Now let me show you my kung fu growth.
Stan, honey, dinner's getting cold.
Zounds! I'm caught! But they'll never take me alive.
The second was in 2012's Executed by the State, and the third and final cameo was in 2013's Robot Fight Incident. These cameos include Stan hosting a superhero gossip news show with Pamela Anderson, which is only later revealed to be entirely in Stan's mind. He then also jumps out a window wearing a Spider-Man mask.
Excelsior!
It's all very, very funny.
Say, Stan, have you heard of Paris Hilton?
Say, Pam, ever hung from a ceiling fan while your partner sat on a paint mixer?
And at number 2, The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement. Yeah, this is a real cameo. There is something wonderfully absurd about Stan Lee making a cameo in The Princess Diaries, and not even the first Princess Diaries. We're talking the significantly less popular The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement. Yeah, he plays a guest at Mia's wedding, who in the process hits on the queen played by Julie Andrews.
Aquí le presento a mi tío que nos visita de Rosario.
Oh, how do you do, senor?
Oh, I do better if you and I get married.
It's also one of the most random things that Stan Lee has ever done, considering that most of his cameos have some sort of connection either to comics or to individuals in the film industry that he was pals with. But after some serious digging, one fan did connect the film's director Gary Marshall to a 2010 documentary called With Great Power, The Stan Lee Story, suggesting that perhaps they had crossed paths in other ways other than the 2004 Princess Diaries sequel. And finally, in at number 1, The Simpsons. The Simpsons is by far one of the most important and iconic animated series of the 20th and 21st century. Aside from what it's done for the industry and for comedy in general, many people also think the show has the ability to predict the future. Now, regardless of whether or not you believe in that, it's hard to deny that The Simpsons has pumped out some stellar episodes since the show debuted in 1989, including 3 episodes in which Stan Lee makes a cameo. Yep, 3. His first appearance was in 2002, where he played himself in an episode called I Am Furious Yellow. Bart makes a comic about Homer that goes viral online, and Stan is not a fan, noting that his stinky sense is tingling. There's also a great moment where Stan puts an X-Men comic in front of a Superman comic at the local Springfield comic book store. Now, if you're curious about the other cameos, he appears in the episodes The Caper Chase and Married to the Blob, in which he reprises his role as himself in both. And one of them includes a scene in which he smashes a kid's Batmobile when trying to sell him on a Thing action figure instead of a Batman one. Pretty darn great. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these was your favorite cameo? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more great lists just like this one. In the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.